So friends, good morning. Once again, I welcome you back to this class of video lecture. Friends, this is BA part 2nd English Literature, and we have been doing paper 1 for last couple of months, and we have completed many poems which are prescribed in the syllabi. Yesterday we took up a very famous poem written by Coleridge, and the title of the poem is Christabel, part 1. This is a very wonderful poem on chivalry, on magic, on the fearsome elements. So yesterday we had discussed a brief outline, a sort of brief introduction of Coleridge as a poet, as a representative romantic poet, and we also had a very short outline of the introduction of the poem. Who is Christabel? What is her story? And what happens in the poem as we move on to the poem. So, friends, it is a fragmentary poem, and the tale told in it is left incomplete, but the art displayed in it is of a unique character. The tale is one of mystery and evokes a weird sensation in the mind of the reader. The sense of mystery is slowly and subtly built by the art of the poet. The poem starts in a realistic manner. I quote, "It's the middle of the night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock." The rhyming scheme is very simple of the poem. Slowly and subtly, the atmosphere is charged with an air of mystery and a suggestion of the supernatural. This is very important, friends, that as we move on in the poem, we find constant elements of mystery and constant elements of supernaturalism. The toothless mastiff of Sir Leoline gives out 4 holes as the clock strikes the quarter hours, and the 12 holes as it strikes the hour, and then corners the line, striking the supernatural note. Some say, "She sees my lady's shroud." Little things unobtrusively introduced seem to become significant. The owls awaken the crowing cock, but there is an unusual note in the crowing. So, friends, this is something about the poem. How does it progress? Uh, Once on a cold night, when the full moon was visible behind a thin cloud, Sir Leoline's lovely daughter, Christabel, goes into the nearby forest just to pray for the betterment of her fiancé. But when she goes, now this is again a strange thing of the poem, the mystery element of the poem, that in the midnight a beautiful lady goes to the forest for praying, and when she goes to the forest she sees a very strange creature in the form of a lady whom she meets. So, uh, this is the beginning of the poem. I read the first part of the poem so that you may come across the theme of the poem. It is the middle of night by the castle clock, and the owls have awakened the crowing cock. To wit, to woo, and hark again the crowing cock. So, uh, the the opening lines of Coleridge's poem Christabel. These are the opening lines of the poem Christabel. The story of Christabel is a tale of wonder involving supernatural agency. The opening lines provide the setting. The action takes place in the distant Middle Ages, with the castle clock striking the midnight hour and owls hooting in the background. The owls are hooting in the background, and the clock is striking 12. The clock that is put up on the wall of the castle indicates that it is 12 in the night. Yes, the middle of night. This is very significant line. The very first line of the poem is significant. The clock that is put up on the wall of the castle indicates that it is 12 in the night. The screech of the owls has disturbed the cock, which is crowing with a feeble sound, though it is in a sleepy state. Yes, and this constant ringing of the clock has been disturbing the cock, which was sleepy, in a sleepy state. Midnight is not the time for the cock to crow. Yes, it is not the right time for cock to crow. Sir Leoline, the rich baron, keeps a watchdog which has lost its teeth owing to old age. The dog is chained in its house, built under the rock, and unfailingly barks when the clock strikes. Yes, you see the magical realism and the elements of mystery being projected in the poem. The dog, which is chained in the house, built under the rock, and unfailingly barks when the clock strikes. It may be far or foul, sunshine or rain, the dog always howls in response to the strokes of the clock. For each quarter, it will howl once, and for full hour 12 times, that is 16 short howls. Not too loud for 1 hour. Some people believe that it does so because the memory of her dead mistress, Christabel's mother, comes back to her, and she sees the winding sheet in which her mistresses was wrapped up. So this is something, the magical realism. So the meaning part is I think very much clear for you. It's the middle of the night. This is the midnight hour, is surely the most suitable time to begin a poem of supernatural horror. Yes, the poet takes up the midnight hour because midnight hour is the most suitable time to begin a poem of supernatural horror. The elements of horror is included, the elements of mystery is included, and you come the castle clock. The castle clock, here we are immediately taken to the distant Middle Ages with formidable castles in dense forests surrounded by moats on all sides. This setting establishes this poem's affinity with a particular literary genre, the tale of terror, that was very popular in Europe. Yes, the castle situated in the mid of the jungles, in the mid of the forests, right? And such a distant castle, and the time is of night, and the barking of the dogs and the ringing of the clocks, all these things create an atmosphere of horror and terror. And you see, and clock, the hooting of the owls is like the premonition of the approaching evil. Yes, the owls are hooting. The owls, when the owls hoot, they premonite some approaching evil. The cock crows at dawn, but the hooting of the owls has disturbed the cock from its sleep. Yes, and the sound is coming like too 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 too. The sound produced by an owl. Harking, Hark, hark, the poet alarms the reader to create suspense. This is for drowsily, sleepily. You just note down the poems. Toothless mastiff bitch. Yes, Sir Leoline's father has a bitch. A mastiff is a large breed of dog. The bitch is the female Its being toothless suggests decay and death. This suggestion appears very ominous. Yes. Canal, there is a word again, canal. Canal. The canal is under a rock from where a canal, a sort of house for dog. Yes. Canal is a small house where the dogs are kept. So the beginning part of the poem is quite mysterious. So the second part I read again. I read, is the night chilly and dark? The night is chilly but not dark. The thin grey cloud is spread on high. It covers but not hides the sky. The moon is behind and at the full, and yet she looks both small and dull. The night is chill, the cloud is grey. It's a month before the month of May, and the spring comes slowly up this way. These lines occur in Coleridge's poem Christabel. The story of Christabel is a tale of wonder. So, the next part of the poem is about the description of the night. The night is cold but not dark. The grey cloud which covers the sky is so thin that we can see the sky through it. On this night, the moon is full but looks very small and dim behind the cloud. The night is chilly, the cloud is grey, and it is the month of April. Spring is approaching, but it is approaching in a very slow way. Uh, Tomlinson explains of these lines is in more a perceptive way. He writes, everything hangs in this state of precarious uncertainty, of incessant disease. The cloud threatens the sky, but the sky still shows through. And to counterpoint this, the moon has achieved its most fruitful phase, yet remains without the bright appearance of a full moon. Coleridge's, Coleridge thus reinforces the idea of potentialities in nature which are never finally to be realized in the story. So we today we have done the opening lines of the poem, and we shall finish the poem in the coming classes. Thank you, friends.